Hello and welcome to this pit stop for Cthulu Rise of the Cults, a game designed by Christoph Wodecki, published by Red Imp, taking around 90 minutes. This is a deck building area control Cthulhu themed game, you can tell by the name, in which the players are playing as rival cults in the city of Arkham in 4 different districts, and they're attempting to control each of these districts in 3 different ways. During the course of a round, players are going to draw themselves 6 cards from their deck. They're going to look at these cards. Now, some of the more advanced cards, which you can bring into your deck later on in the game, might have certain effects on them. But for your basic deck, you're just going to be looking at what power these cards are going to supply you for your actions during the game. And there are 3 different types of resource, or currency if you like, in that: power and influence and terror. Once you've looked at those, you're then going to take a chance rolling the recruitment dice. You get up to 2 re-rolls on these dice, and whatever you decide to stick with at the end, these relate to tokens which relate to different types of cultists you can bring in to help you power your actions. In this case, I'm going to get 4 blue and 1 red to help me for the rest of the round. Once everyone has done that, we're going to move on to the planning phase. Each player has got 4 action discs, and at this stage, all they're doing is deciding in which district they wish to take actions. But the planning phase also affects the order in which actions will be taken, because players take turns putting 1 down at a time in any district they like. But when it comes to resolution, on your turn, you can only resolve a disc if it is the top disc in a stack. And that's going to affect, obviously, what actions will be available to you throughout the course of the next phase, which will be the action phase itself. So, when it comes to your turn on the action phase, you pick up a disc and you choose one of the 4 actions available here, or you can choose to pass all together and just get yourself some more of these power tokens if that suits you. The 4 different types of things you can do are: you can go to augmentation, and that's where you can be able to buy these cards which are available to you. There are 16 different city cards in the game, 8 available in any particular game you're playing, and they have a cost which is associated with the power. In this case, it's going to be 2 to buy this card, plus 1 for every investigator that's made it into the area within the district, because as the cults take actions, these investigators will move along the track and then start stacking up and make things more difficult for you. As you go, you discard a pile standard deck builder. When your draw deck runs out, you'll shuffle your discards and they'll go into your hand again. So to pay for this would cost me 2, and I can either discard a card, or I could have paid 2 of my cultists, and that would do exactly the same thing. Augmentation also allows you to throw cards out of your discard pile. Now, in order to do it though, you must have some presence within the area. So in this case, I actually couldn't have done it here because I don't have a cult site. I have one up here, and that's one of the presences you have. I also don't have a ritual yet, and I don't have any dominance markers. And the other actions affect how you're going to be able to do those. So if we choose to go up here to preparation, we move along the investigator, and that's one of the ways in which the sanity of each district is going to increase and make things more difficult for you to do while you're in there. You can prepare a cult site. So let's say I took this action here, once this stack was empty. I would have to pay 5 power, which unfortunately I don't have anymore, but I could pay 5 power, put a cult site in there, and that would be increased by the investigators again, and now I'm able to take certain actions in there. Once you have a cult site, you can then bring rituals into play, and you've got 3 different levels of rituals for each of the cults, and you simply pay as much power as the level plus investigators, and you can start bringing yourself into play there with rituals. Now, rituals are going to help you in coming confrontations and dominances, and by taking the influence action over here, you can actually move rituals around from district to district, and they'll increase in power. So if I wish to move this one over here, it would increase to a level 2 ritual. Once a player decides they're strong enough and they've got a decent hand and decent followers in power, they can call for a confrontation by going over to this last action here, in which we're going to have a fight. So let's say yellow was present over in this district and they call for a confrontation. Secretly, they're going to play cards face down, looking at only the red icons, and then in their fist they're going to keep as many of these thugs, these combatant cultists, as they wish to. Any players who wish to join can then move in from any other of the districts, and they will also play cards face down, put their fists out, and when everyone who's in this decides they're ready, we flip the cards over, reveal the thugs, and quite simply, each power icon and each thug in your hand is worth 1 point. Now, whoever wins, all the others are going to get kicked out, and they're going to get these disorganisation cards into their deck, which basically are rubbish and not going to help you do nothing, absolutely. If the person who called for the confrontation wins it, they then get to move on to a second part of this action, which is called terror, in which they're going to get to spend the last currency, which is terror itself, in order to attempt to add dominance into this area. And if yellow has got enough power in terror to overcome the sanity, again plus investigators, they will be able to put one of their dominance markers in play. And that is the third presence you can have in the area control for each of these sections. You can play the game for a minimum of 6 rounds. You can go up to 10 or more if you wish to, according to the rules. And then each player is going to score 1 point for every ritual marker they have in an area, every cult site present, and every dominance site present in any of the 4 districts. And that player with the most points is going to win Cthulu Rise of the Cults. This has been a Gamepit Pit Stop. For more in-depth coverage of gaming, please check out the Gamepit podcast. For more videos like this, check out the Gamepit channel on YouTube.